It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to the program. Brad Miller with you, and it is County-Wide. And once again, we welcome a new guest into our studio, a visitor we've not shared time with before, and happy to do so today. Anthony Turek, and we're going to call him Tony after this, is a unit manager with the Yavapai County Search and Rescue Search Dog Unit, and he has brought a couple of friends today, Rosie and Angus, and our TV viewers will be able to see them. I don't know if they're actually asleep, but they seem to be pretty comfortable at the moment. And these are dogs that are working dogs as part of the search and rescue operations through Yavapai County. So, Tony, thanks for coming in studio today. Okay. And if you would introduce your four-legged guests.
Well, I've brought Rosie, who's a 7-year-old Labrador Retriever. She's been in the search and rescue program for about 4 years. We actually rescued her when she was not quite a year old. And my second dog today is Angus, another Labrador Retriever. Angus is 3 years old. He's a male. And we bought him as a puppy specifically for search and rescue.
Okay, so he had a job to do as soon as you got a hold of him.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to ask you, they're both yellow labs.
Yes.
Are they siblings or related in any way?
No,
okay,
they're not.
So one was a rescue dog, and okay.
Yes.
Now, I got to ask you the old cart before the horse thing. Which came first? The dogs? Are you a dog guy first and search and rescue guy second? How did that come together for you?
We've always had dogs, but I'd never really worked my dogs. I had always had them as pets. But we found this opportunity, and it just fit us really well. My wife is also active in the dog unit. She actually runs Angus. She's certified with Angus. Okay. And I'm certified with Rosie. So the way the program works, the dog and the handler get certified as a unit.
Okay. Can I ask, are you law enforcement? Backgrounds or
no, we're not at all.
Okay.
No, we have no background at all.
Okay, so and I asked because we've heard this before with other guests that we've had in a lot of that work with animals. Sometimes it just becomes the right fit for the handler and the animal. It just kind of works, and we've had that with folks who have therapy dogs and different kinds of things. And it sounds like that's the case here. There was a need with Yavapai County. Certainly, the search and rescue team. Just listeners to our newscast will know that the search and rescue unit gets a lot of work during the course of any given year, and I imagine the dogs are a big part of that. Now, if I understand correctly, one of the dogs is used kind of for search, like if we have, say, a missing hiker, and one of the dogs is what we'd call a cadaver dog. Now, is that right?
No.
Okay.
Both of the dogs are certified in both disciplines.
Either way? Either way.
Okay. And as a matter of fact, many times on a search, we don't really know what we're looking for.
Right.
I mean, we hope we're looking for a live person, but we may well be looking for somebody who's passed.
Sometimes it turns that way.
Yes.
During the course of a search.
Right.
And is that typical, that training, that they're able to do both?
It is typical, although it's not exclusively so.
Okay. When we talk about the training then, and certainly police dogs are going to have different things, whether they're scent dogs for drugs and things like that, takedown dogs that kind of work the street in that way. The training's going to be a lot different no matter what the discipline. With these two dogs, they're not what we might say police dogs, right? In other words, they couldn't take down a bad guy or...
Not at all.
Yeah.
No, they're not at all trained for that.
Okay, whole different field.
Yes.
So let's focus on what they are trained for. And how does that training, walk me through in a minute or so what maybe is probably years and ongoing training for these animals?
Well, what we look for in a search dog is, as a puppy, a dog that has a lot of play drive and prey drive.
Okay.
And we can measure that as their puppies, as if they like games, if they love to chase the ball for all day long.
Right.
And if they like to hunt. If they, that gives us the basics of what we're looking for. Then they have to have a snout, because that's where they get their scent capability.
Sure.
Breeds that don't have a snout are less capable of scent discrimination.
So we're not going to see many search pugs necessarily.
No, you're not going to see pugs.
Gotcha.
Or bulldogs are not, going to be frequently in search units.
Okay, so it's the size of the barrel in a way. that part. I see. I've never heard that, but it makes total sense.
Yes. Well, the dog's nose is filled with cartilage, and it has a lot of chambers and caverns in it, and the scent gets trapped in those caverns, and they're able then to discriminate live scent. They can even, as you know, tracking dogs can discriminate a particular human scent.
Right. And the training isn't to teach them how to be better sniffers. All dogs probably can smell what they're smelling. It's to train them that they need to react, or that you would hope that they will react in a specific way to that scent. Is that right?
That's precisely right. All dogs would probably find a human in the woods.
Sure.
The training is to train the dog to come back and tell you that he's found somebody in the woods.
Gotcha.
And then we tell him to go find him again. We give him a command that says, "Show me." And the dog will run back and find him again, and we follow him. And he'll keep doing that until he leads us right into the lost person.
Gotcha. I want to back up a little bit. You talked with starting with when they're puppies, and Angus came to you when he was a pup.
Yes.
So he went through the training you described.
Yes.
And he showed these predilections for the play and the prey.
Yes.
Okay. By what age do you need to see that? How long does that kind of develop? Is that right away?
Yeah. Well, we saw it in Angus at 8 weeks.
Okay. So he was all over.
It's early. You'll know early.
Okay. And so therefore, you said, okay, we've got a good candidate. Now, when you went and picked him out, or how did that work? You said you got him for a job. So obviously, very quickly you got into this, and at 8 weeks he showed it. Once you've got the dog, the training, I assume, starts right away?
It starts right away. It's a process of creating a game. We reward the dog with treats so that he is interested in the game. And then when he makes a find, then we try to get real excited and have a big party and give him treats and toss the ball and so that he gets really into it. He loves what they're doing, and all of the dogs in the unit just really love to work.
Okay, and so praise reward, the way you would train a dog to do anything really, or
to
do a lot of different things.
Yeah, there's no magic to it.
Let's talk about Rosie. She was, I'm sorry, how old when you got her?
We rescued Rosie at 11 months.
Okay.
But she didn't start in the search unit until she was 3 years old.
Okay.
She's now 7.
Okay. How did that come? Did you hear again, see that even as an adult dog, she had these?
We just tried her out. I mean, we had her before we found the search dog unit. And the idea was, could we train her to do this job? Right. And in fact, she was able to pick this up and has become one of our very best dogs.
And I didn't get Angus's age. Had you trained him already, and therefore that helped you understand? Or are these your first search dogs?
These are my first search dogs.
Okay.
Yes.
So who got trained first?
Rosie was trained first, and Angus was second.
Okay, gotcha. So it would just seem to me that Angus might have been a little easier to train simply because you got him younger. Rosie was your first one, even though she was maybe a little bit an adult dog, I guess we would say.
There's no question. There's no question.
Yeah.
You're better able to do it once you've done one.
Okay.
You can do the second one better.
You mentioned to me prior to the show there are 6 units within the Search and Rescue Division in Yavapai County. How many dogs or dog teams, being a dog and a handler, do we have?
Well, we have 14 members in the dog unit.
Okay.
Some of those members have more than one dog. So we have actually 18 dogs that are either certified or in training to be certified.
Okay, gotcha. And when you're called out, say we've got a missing hiker.
Yes, sir.
What's the response? Is it geographical as to who goes, or how do you do that?
No, we call out the whole unit.
Everybody comes?
Well, everybody who can come.
Gotcha.
I mean, some people work. Not everybody can answer the call to every search.
Sure.
But everybody has the opportunity to go.
Okay. All of the dogs, are they essentially equal in skill or ability? Is there one dog say, well, we need Angus for this one, and we'll take Rosie over to that one? Does it work that way or no?
Rosie's particularly strong on cadaver.
Is that right?
So when we train, for instance, we'll put out small samples of human tissue or teeth or something like that. Rosie.
Teeth.
Teeth.
She can hit on teeth.
Yes.
Fascinating.
Yes.
I hate to do it because I love the conversation. We've got to take a break. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll pause and we'll talk more. We've talked about training with Tony Turek. Angus and Rosie are here, and they are the four-legged part of this dog and handler team with Yavapai County Search and Rescue. It's Countywide. We're back after this.
If you're looking for a new pet that your family will cherish every day, consider adopting from a shelter. Shelters are the best places to find a new pet. That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, and loving animals, eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet, so bring home your new buddy today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Hey, honey.
What's up, buddy?
Honey? I think he's been smoking pot.
Call 911. It's okay, Joey. I'm here. Can you hear me, son?
I'm right here.
Are you with
Is he
me?
breathing?
He's not responsive.
Hello?
Honey, give me steak knife and a ballpoint pen.
What are you
now,
doing?
step. I'm gonna do mouth to mouth.
No.
You know lots of ways to help your child, but do you know what to do if they're using drugs? The partnership at drugfree.org can help.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Hi, I'm Captain Larry Dawson with the Cottonwood Fire Department, here to talk to you about cooking safety in your home. When cooking with oil, make sure you have the proper size lid and an oven mitt nearby. If the oil does catch fire, cover the pan with the lid while wearing an oven mitt. Turn off the burner. Never throw water or baking soda on a grease fire. Never leave an open flame unattended, and always have a working fire extinguisher nearby.
Welcome back to the program. Brad Miller with you, and a nice shot for our TV viewers of Angus and Rosie, the stars of our show today, even though Tony's doing the talking for them. Tony Turek is the unit manager with Yavapai County Search and Rescue in the dog unit. What do these dogs do? An awful lot. As it turns out, they've been active just in the last number of days and get called. Any idea how many calls the unit or just YCSO search dog or two gets called on every year? I know you keep busy.
Well, it's on the order of 15.
Okay. And the service is shared. Sometimes outside counties, outside agencies will call.
It's true. We've been asked to search in other areas of the state, either because that county needed help, needed additional dog search capacity, or didn't have any dog units. Okay, great that resource is there. I want to ask you, we started off a little bit, and you mentioned the snout and the important tool that is in the dog's arsenal of weapons to find what they're after. Are there differences? These two is it coincidence that they're yellow labs? In other words, we think about like the Belgian Malinois, I know, are used a lot for the police dogs, the takedown dogs. Mm-hmm. There's the old movie image of the bloodhounds running after old Cool Hand Luke and things like that. Right. And are there breeds that are more adept at smelling or smarter or? Well, the breeds that work well for the search dog unit are the hunting breeds, by and large. So we have German Shepherds. Right. We have Golden Retrievers. We have Labrador Retrievers, and we have one Golden Doodle who does very, very well, surprisingly. So if I'm understanding, it sounds like there's that play and that prey that comes into the training. Yes. The snout, and it sounds like it's going to be left up to the dog regardless of breed, but there are some breeds that are just more predisposed. Some breeds are better. Yeah. They need to be at least 15 inches at the shoulder, because they can't be a tiny little dog.
Yeah.
They need to be able to cover some ground.
Right.
So we look for at least 15 inches at the shoulder.
Okay.
So one of the taller dogs. Dogs like Belgian Malinois are great because they have great stamina.
Yeah.
And they can go for a long time.
Yeah.
And sometimes on a search we'll be out for six or 7 hours. The dogs get tired in that amount of time. So those that have the greater stamina
are good at work.
Are working better for us.
Gotcha. I don't know if there is any such thing as a typical search, but let's just pretend here again. Let's go to the lost hiker scenario. Do you get, I suppose, a generalized area? You try to narrow it down as best you can. Do you go out, dogs off the collar, go find them? Do you keep the dog on the leash and they walk you to it? How does it work?
Once we get to a search, there will be a search plan based on the central planning unit that's planning the search, and they will assign the search dog unit a geography to cover.
Okay.
Go look in this area, and they perhaps would have other people looking in other areas. The search dog unit then will divide up that area amongst its dog handlers that are able to come to the search.
Okay.
And the dogs are working off leash at that point in time. And we will either do an area search where we actually walk a grid, or we might, walk a creek bed or some other geographic feature.
Right.
That needs to be covered.
Okay. And are the dogs, say, again, the lost hiker, are they just, once they get out there and they're on the job, we've had like police dogs tell us they know when they're working.
Yes.
This is it. You're doing it for real. Is it just any human scent that they pick up? And if so, can that obviously be confused for other hikers who aren't lost, people who've passed by recently, other searchers? How do they how are they able to zero in on the target?
Well, they are trained to find any human scent.
Okay.
So it's possible that they could find somebody other than who we were looking for.
Sure.
This happens to us in training
Sure.
because some of the times we're at areas where in the forest where other people just happen to be. But by and large on a search, though, we're in pretty remote areas.
Right.
There's not likely to be anybody else there.
Okay. Okay.
So
there's, here again, I watch too much TV, but going back to the old Cool Hand Luke, there's that, maybe it's a cliche, they'll get them something maybe that the search target wore, you let them sniff that, and then they go off, and those are bloodhounds. Is that a whole different ballgame than kind of what your dogs do?
Well, it's different from what these particular dogs do.
Yeah.
We do have in the unit what we call trailing dogs, and these are dogs that are trained to follow a particular human scent.
A particular, okay.
A particular
That's what I want to
human
get
scent.
at.
Yes.
If we have a lost child, say, and we have an article of clothing.
Yes.
So that's true to life.
They will, yes, absolutely do that.
Okay, okay. And that'll help them look for a very specific, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
Fascinating. Okay.
Sometimes on a search we don't know where a person left from.
Sure.
And we may not have a particular personal article.
Well, with a lost hiker, you probably wouldn't most of the time. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, it's fascinating. I love it. I appreciate you coming. We've got to take another short break, though, so we'll do that another 2 minutes, and we're back with Tony and Angus and Rosie. We're talking search and rescue dogs today. It's Countywide. Back after this.
Now, some action from the courts. Billie Jean King renewing her rivalry with Arthritis. First set, furious volley, and right to the net for a winner. Beautiful forehand there. Arthritis, stunned. And here, match point. Billie Jean with the ace, taking it in straight sets. Afterwards, a jubilant Billie Jean King.
Tennis is a weapon for me with arthritis. There's nothing like it for me to hit a ball, run to the ball, anytime, any court. I'm ready. Let's go.
What's your weapon against arthritis? Find out at fightarthritispain.org.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking.
Red state. Blue state. Vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown. Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities, our families, united. Even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
Hungry?
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Hi, I'm Captain Larry Dawson with the Cottonwood Fire Department, here to talk to you about cooking safety in your home. The #1 cause of house fires today is lack of safety in the kitchen. Always set a timer while you're cooking. If a fire starts in your oven, close the door and turn the oven off. When kids are present while cooking, always use the back burners and keep handles turned in and out of reach of children. Never leave an open flame unattended, and always have a working fire extinguisher nearby.
Welcome back to the program. It is Countywide. Our guest today, Tony Turek, Unit Manager with the Yavapai County Search and Rescue, and his guests. Our guests today also are Rosie and Angus, and two of the dogs that are out there doing it. Say it again, YCSRT.org for information there, and all of what you do gets dispatched to the sheriff's office. You don't just go out because somebody calls you.
No, it has to be through the sheriff.
You bet. It's a law enforcement action. I don't know if our microphone can pick up. Somebody's wearing sleigh bells or something like that. I guess that's part of the gear out in the woods. That
we want to know where the dogs are, and by and large, they're out of sight. When they're off leash, they're out ranging, and if they're out of sight, we can at least hear them.
Alongside that, what is kind of the range or I guess search radius for one of the dogs? I mean, when you let them off leash, how far away have they found someone? In other words, what distance have they been able to cover?
Well, when the dogs are searching, we call it a head pop or a hit, and you'll often see the dogs just stop and turn, and then they'll take off running. Now, the farthest we've known a dog to actually hit from a head pop is about 220 yards.
Okay.
And Angus actually did that. He was the dog that.
So they need to get fairly, close. And
right.
We've talked about scent. Dogs can hear. I mean, does that come into play? Can they hear maybe someone trampling through the woods if they're not calling out or anything, or whatever? Can they sound or certainly sight and things like that?
No, it's primarily scent.
It's the nose.
It's the nose, and it's the job of the handler to successfully get the dog in the scent cone. And his scent is carried by the wind.
Okay.
So the handler has to position the dog so that he can use that particular, smelling ability, and that's our biggest asset out there.
The scent cone.
The scent cone.
You're going to want to try to get the dogs downwind.
Downwind. We work the dogs into the wind.
Okay. All makes sense. One last Cool Hand Luke question for you.
Yes, sir.
Here again, they show, and this is a different kind of a setup than typically what Angus and Rosie do, I guess. But there's a couple of things, like in that movie specifically, he runs through water to try to throw him off, sprays pepper on the ground to try and throw him off. It's a different deal. But I got to ask, are any of those real, or is that Hollywood stuff? Can you hide from a search dog? That's my question.
Well, I suspect
you could.
You could. But the dogs are amazing. They can pick up scent through water.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the uses of a search dog is for drowning victims. They put them in a boat, and they can smell the decomp bubbling up through the water, and they'll tell the diver where to go down.
Incredible. All right, Tony, we wrap it up. I've got 1,000 more questions for you, but we are all out of time today. I really appreciate you coming. Angus and Rosie, you guys, you've earned a reward. All right, we appreciate very much what all of you do for our community through Yavapai County Search and Rescue. Search Dog Unit Manager Tony Turek, Angus and Rosie on our show today. It's Countywide. We'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.